This week's video is all about how to work smart, which is code for how can I possibly get more done and in less time. Well, let's not hang about, let's get started. A couple of years ago, a client came to me complaining that she was feeling incredibly tired, really lethargic, unable to get anything done and feeling completely unmotivated. Her concern was that maybe her job was not inspiring her. And as someone who works with people in that sort of career space, that was the start of our conversation, but it soon emerged that whenever we talked about her work, she got really quite excited about it. And there were elements of it that were exactly what she wanted to be doing, but something just wasn't right. Something wasn't working for her. And in fact, all that she felt was at the end of the day, she hadn't achieved anything, and then started to question just what was going on up there, if you like, in terms of did this job really work for her, or were some of these feelings of tiredness and lethargy a real sign that it wasn't the right thing to be doing? So what we did was we started to analyse what she was doing on a day-to-day basis, and not just on a daily basis, but what she was doing hour by hour. Now, there were the usual meeting after meeting scheduled in there, but there was a general, should we say, drift in what she was up to. So I introduced her to the Pomodoro method, which had been created by a guy called Francesco Cirillo in the later 80s. And effectively, all it is a timer. It's limiting the amount of time that you have to do a specific task. Now, the Pomodoro technique itself is based on the name of a tomato in Italian. So if you have ever seen one of those timers that you get that looks like a tomato, that's effectively how it got its name. Very simple process. You set out for 25 minutes to accomplish a very discrete task, something very specific, and you work for 25 minutes until that clock lets you know that it's time to finish. After that 25 minutes, you move away from your workspace and you go and take a 5-minute break. Repeat that 4 times and I can guarantee you will have achieved a heck of a lot, because that's 25 times 4, that's 100 minutes of pure focus time. And that's how some of the most effective workers that you and I know get everything done, is they work incredibly focused, and they with very discrete task and with no distractions, because there are other parts of this technique that make it really effective. Like, for example, you don't accept any distractions. If anything comes in, a phone call, a request, a notification, or a thought even, sometimes the worst distractions are the ones that we create. You capture those and you write those in a separate space. So 2 of the ways that it enables us to be more effective are: 1, it overcomes the biggest hurdle, which is usually just getting started. Quite often, if we're faced with a blank sheet of paper, it's incredibly difficult to get started. But if I reframe that task as something that, instead of the big output, I'm just looking at the small input of time, 25 minutes, I am able to get over that hurdle, if you like, of getting started. And the second reason this works is because we eliminate distractions. Distractions are the things that ensure that we just don't get a lot of things done, whether that's a pet or a child, or it's a work colleague. It doesn't really matter what the distraction is. If we allow those in, then effectively we are undermining our ability to get things done. So the Pomodoro technique allows us to focus, and we all know that that's the number one thing that gets in the way when it comes to procrastination, is that inability to focus. Which leads us on nicely to why it works. It works because it overcomes procrastination. Procrastination is the number one enemy to productivity. So if we've got a technique that allows us to eliminate procrastination, through focus, no distractions, and a very fixed end point, we're on to a winner straight away. And the third reason why it's effective is because it can contribute to our overall work-life balance and our sense of achievement and self-esteem. So if I'm getting things done that I potentially had been procrastinating over for quite some time, my self-worth increases. I'm also able to anticipate what am I going to do with my spare time. And that's where the concept of work-life balance starts to seep in and make us feel like we're in control. But I promised you with the title of this that it was going to be Pomodoro Plus. And the plus is where you start to personalize this. There are a couple of things you can personalize. So 25 minutes was just the amount of time that the creator of this process set out as being, a good opportunity for most people. But if you're able to sit there a bit longer and still maintain focus, there's no reason why you can't flex that time and go on a bit longer, which leads us to the second element of flexibility, which is how much time you need for a break. For some people, 5 minutes is all they need to stretch and to get a mental break, maybe move away and come back. For others, it might be 10 minutes. So I know some people flex this and say instead of 25, 5, they do 50 and 10-minute break. So there's a real opportunity here to personalize it and make it something that works for you. And the third way you can personalize things is how you time those segments. Now, for some people, the little quirky timer sat on the desk introduces an element of fun and gives them just a distraction, if you like, from the arduousness of getting a task done. For others who are much more sort of digitally savvy, for example, they like to use apps, and there's a plethora of Pomodoro-based apps out there that can basically break things down and ensure that you don't get any digital distractions at the same time as you are focused on your 25 or 50-minute segments. The other element that I'd like you to consider while we're making this Pomodoro Plus is something that's going to ensure that as you develop this over time, it gets better and better. And that is two things. Before you do it, I'd like you to prepare. So get your sheet ready for your capturing of the distractions. Have your timer ready. Have your desk set up so that you can't be distracted, but also so that you can really focus. Shut down all of the other apps maybe on your computer so that you can get immersed in this particular activity. So prep is a really important thing to do to make this even more effective. But the next one is even better. And that is reviewing afterwards what worked. Did the time work for you? Could you have extended it? Could you have made it, would it have worked better with less time? How did you manage your distractions? Was it effective? How effectively did you use that break time? Did you re-energize, or did you just sort of pay lip service to it and therefore not get the real benefits out of it? Reviewing is the time manager's golden ticket, if you like, to real improvement in results. So do some prep and always review how you've done to ensure that next time when you're prepping, you've got some lessons learned and you know how you're going to make this the best use of your time. So let's come back to my story about the client who was feeling completely unmotivated, listless really, and starting to question her own motivation and what was going on for her in her career. Through introducing her to the Pomodoro technique and her getting supercharged and focused, she was able to switch all of that around. What was bothering her was her inability, it seemed, to get the important things done, the things that she really wanted to do, and was constantly fighting the battle of distraction after distraction. So through deploying the Pomodoro technique, she was able to get things done, the things that were really important to her. As a result, her motivation was transformed and she started to really enjoy her job again. And actually, within a couple of months, an opportunity came up elsewhere that was able to capitalize on her newfound enthusiasm, and you know, all round it was a great success for her. So I recommend this to you. Give it a try, see what can work for you. Whether you need to tweak it or not, it doesn't really matter, but give it a try. I think you'll find that it will help you if you have real procrastination issues, or if you're just feeling a little bit unable to get started. This technique will definitely work for you. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Give me a like, that will help more people see this, and subscribe, and please share it widely if you have friends and colleagues that you think this will enable them to make a great start to the year. Okay, I'll see you back here again next week. Cheers.